Hi, welcome to Something to Talk About. My name is Taco, and I'm going to talk about the difference of a character that you might have heard of, named Rickard Karstark. If you don't know what's going on here, you can pause this, read this. There's definitely spoilers for the show and for the books. Which books? These Song of Ice and Fire books. Which show? Game of Thrones. Who is that? I don't know. All right, how are you guys doing? So the way this goes is I'm going to rant at the screen, and first I'm going to talk about House Karstark and give you a little bit of universal backstory to the house, right? And then I got a couple slides for the show and a lot of slides for the book, and then we're going to get done. Do you know how long this video is? I don't, because I'm currently filming it. This is going on right now. That's what I'm doing over here. But I'm guessing pretty long. I've been dreading this ever since I wrote it. Whenever I'm like writing the film, I thought about filming or just seeing the thumbnail on my computer as I was writing other stuff. I'm like, oh no, it's gonna be so long. It's gonna be so much. It's gonna take so much out of me. All right. House Karstark. House Karstark of Karhold is a noble house from Karhold. You didn't see that coming from the north. They were founded as a branch from their overlords, the Starks of Winterfell. They are among principal bannermen. Their sigil is a white sunburst on black, and their motto is the Son of Winter. I always loved this, right? Like, I love the Karstark aesthetic is not very Starkian, and I love that. Like, they don't have like winter is also coming as their words, right? And also their sigil is not wolf adjacent, right? If I told you, hey, look at all these sigils from the north and tell me which ones are offshoots from the Starks, one would probably say House Castle or Cassell, however you want to say that. Probably not the Karstarks, except if you knew the name, but just going up the sigil, because the Cassells have wolves on their sigil, right? But these guys, it's just the sun. It's not very Starkian at all. And I kind of really like that. Granted, we're about to go talk about how many years ago these guys branched off, but they really found their own style. I like that about you, Karstarks. Wink. All right. The Karstarks descended from Torrhen Stark, a younger son of Winterfell, possibly around 700 BC, as in before the conquest. Torrhen put down a rebel lord and was granted lands for his valor, if I wanted to say that correctly. The castle he built near the Grey Cliffs was named Karl's Hold, but that soon became Karhold. And over the centuries, the Karhold Starks became the Karstarks. The Karstarks. And then over the same amount of centuries, actually, several Karstarks did marry Starks. I don't think that's very problematic. That's not super Targaryen because, by that I mean incesty, because there's probably a lot of separation. The Karstarks are barely Starks anymore. That's what I'm trying to say, right? It's a long time. Karstarks are big, fierce men, bearded and long-haired with brown hair and blue-gray eyes. And thanks to their Stark genes, many of them have, long faces of the Starks. Some of them have that long face that Starks have. Why the long face? I'm a Stark. Oh, okay. All right, let's talk about the show. Rickard Karstark and the television adaptation Game of Thrones. Rickard is played by Steven Blount in season 1 and John Stahl in season 2 and 3. We're mostly going to be talking about John Stahl. I didn't actually get a picture for Steven Blount because I only got 3 slides and none of them solely cover just season 1 him, right? So yeah. Rickard Karstark is the Lord of Karhold and the head of House Karstark, a vassal family to House Stark of Winterfell. He is a close ally and distant relative of House Stark, extremely distant. He has 3 sons, Torrhen Karstark, Harrion Karstark, and Harald Karstark. Oh, wow. That's something for the difference. And a granddaughter, Alys Karstark. Well, I didn't add any of that weird family he's got as differences. Granddaughter Alys Karstark? All right, we're getting weird. You want to get weird? We're getting weird. Rickard is there at the end of season 1 when Robb gets named King of the North, and he's the second to join him. Rickard Karstark is among Robb's hosts in the Westerlands. Karstark's son Torrhen is later killed by Jaime during an escape attempt. After Jaime's recapture, Rickard demands Jaime's execution revenge for the murder of his son. But Catelyn speaks for his life, like, no, we shouldn't kill him. After Lord Rickard's threatening reaction, she reminds him that she has sworn an oath of loyalty to Robb, and Jaime's a prisoner of war. Hey, you said that you're going to be my son's betterman. You can't get mad at my actions. That's what she said. She promises him that Jaime will be punished for what he did. Reluctantly, Lord Karstark gives in for now, but demands retribution when the king returns from the crag. During the confrontation with Lady Catelyn, Lord Rickard also dismisses Talisa, his wife, as a bad word. He said a bad word about Talisa. I'm sure none of the A Song of Ice and Fire fandom has ever said anything negative about Talisa. Awful. All of you. You disgust me. All right. Show hatred for Jaime. Catelyn sends Jaime to King's Landing with Brienne to exchange him for her captive daughters, fearing that Rickard or his men will eventually just kill him if he remains in camp. He is furious that he is denied his chance to kill Jaime. Denied his vengeance, and rejects her argument that Jaime may yet save the lives of her children, adding that he personally would happily exchange his life for those of his deceased children, even if it meant captivity for them. Robb tells Catelyn that she has betrayed him and orders her to be kept under guard. Rickard's faith in Robb continues to deteriorate as the northern host arrives at Harrenhal, finding the inhabitants have been all put to the sword ruthlessly. Roose Bolton attempts to reassure Rickard, telling him that he has sent his best hunter in pursuit of Jaime. But Karstark, however, is clearly unconvinced, losing confidence in Robb's sense of leadership and the possibility of a northern victory. Yeah, Rickard Karstark's starting to not like it. He's got voter remorse for voting for Robb Stark as his king. Lord Karstark manifests his disapproval of the march to Riverrun for the funeral of House Karstark, considering it a distraction from the war effort. When questioned by Robb if he has lost faith in the northern cause, Lord Karstark insists that if the cause is revenge, if the cause is revenge, he will keep faith. Yeah, as long as I keep the due revenge stuff, that's what he's saying, until it snows in Dorne. But he adds that he believes Robb lost the war the day he married Talisa. Oh man, keeps talking crap. A political nobody with no influence. Yeah, he wanted him to marry his granddaughter, Alys. Rickard and his men kill Martin and Willem Lannister in the dungeons of Riverrun and are brought before Robb Stark. Dun, dun, dun. Why'd you go and do that? What are you doing, man? All right, so Treason still in the show. He openly insults King of the North and claims that the war is a lost cause. He says it was for vengeance, and Robb says Harrion died on the battlefield, and Rickard says that Torrhen was strangled by the Kingslayer. Robb gets, so those are the two sons who have died, right? Harrion and Torrhen. Robb gets to yell, "They were boys!" It's a great scene. Rickard gets to say some cool stuff. I only said that because this slide was already too big. He says a lot of cool stuff, but it's almost word for word of what he says in the book, and I will be quoting him in the book. So I didn't want to type it twice. There wasn't a lot of room. All right. Robb, where I said, yeah, so he says some cool stuff, and then the Blackfish punches him, right? And Robb hangs the other four men. Robb decides that Lord of Karhold must die for treason, though Edmure, Talisa, and Catelyn attempt to advise Robb to hold Karstark hostage and send him to the Night's Watch after the war, since the Karstarks form a significant portion of Robb's army, and they will abandon Robb if they he executes the Lord, right? Yeah, totally. Despite the warnings of his counselors, Robb refuses to listen. Before he is executed, Karstark reminds Robb that the blood of the first men rolled through both of their veins, and that he fought alongside Eddard during Robert's rebellion and alongside Robb himself against Joffrey. I keep fighting these southern kings for you guys, and you're taking my head off. He states that they are both kin since the Karstark was founded by Carlin Stark. Yeah, but like kin... Like, I'm sure I could find people on the other side of the planet who look nothing like me, who are as related as the Starks and the Karstarks. Just saying. I think I have some second or even third cousins, not that far removed, who just are all over. Actually, now that I'm saying it out loud. At least people on Facebook with my same last name who do not speak English. I know that much. All right. And I don't have a common last name. Okay, so despite the warnings, where was I? Yeah, he's like, dude, I'm like pretty much a Stark. And he goes, are you though? Are you really? And Robb tells him that all of it didn't stop him from murdering Lannister boys, and it will not save him now. Rickard states scornfully that he does not want to be saved, but he wants to hunt. He wants it to haunt him. He's like, no, I want you to cut my head off because I want to haunt you. I want to be like a cool Karstark ghost. Ooh, that's what you're gonna get, dude. True to the traditions of the North and his father, Robb personally beheads Karstark with a single strike from his sword. After Karstark curses Robb and denounces all allegiance to him. In the aftermath, Rickard curses Robb. Why did I say after? After Rickard curses Robb. Why would he do it after he was dead? All right, I wrote that wrong. In the aftermath, the Karstark forces abandon Robb and return home. Yeah, like everyone said would have happened, right? Why? What did I write? We chopped his head off and then it rolled, and he's like, "I don't like you." Yeah, you just chopped his head off, man. All right, book Lord of Karhold. Rickard Karstark is Lord of Karhold and head of House Karstark. He has 3 sons, but they got different names. That's the first difference. Harrion, Eddard, and Torrhen. Maybe they left out Eddard because they didn't want you guys to be confused about Eddard Stark. And 1 daughter, not granddaughter, Alys Karstark. See, those are the first differences, and I didn't even have them written down later on. Lord Karstark is stern and vengeful man and a fierce warrior, and he was named after Lord Rickard Stark. Rickard is gaunt and tall with a thick gray beard and hair loose past his shoulders. He has a long, narrow face. He wears black mail and wields a lance when he's on horseback. He possesses a black wool surcoat embroidered with the Karstark sunburst. We'll get to that later. For a very specific scene, he's wearing that. Lord Karstark fought for Lord Eddard Stark when the North rebelled against the Mad King, Aerys II Targaryen, and during Robert's Rebellion, and he participated in the Battle of the Trident. Rickard visited Winterfell with his daughter Alys, not granddaughter, when she was 6. He expected her to charm Eddard's son Robert, but despite Alys's age, in hopes of arranging a betrothal. Yeah, but she was 6. Like, so we later see Alys Karstark meet Jon Snow, and she's like, yeah, I didn't know what seducing was. Like, I was a child. Yeah, no crap. He's a Rickard. He's like, geez, why didn't you just seduce him? Still a child, Dad. Oh, yeah. Good point. Calling the banners. On a cold, windy morning, Rickard Karstark brings his forces to Winterfell when Robb Stark calls his banners. The Karstarks are the last to arrive with 300 horsemen in near 2,000 foot. That's a big portion of the army, right? Led by Lord Karstark himself with his sons Harrion, Eddard, and Torrhen riding besides him. Old Nan told young Bran, that the Karstarks are said to have Stark blood in them, going back hundreds of years. The fierce men do not look like Starks to Bran. Maybe the Starks have eventually changed. I don't know who looks more like the old Starks, the Karstarks or the Starks. with their fierce faces covered in thick beards, long hair, and bear, seal, and wolf pelt cloaks. Robb Stark's army heads south to Mount Catelyn, the ancient fortress of the First Men, which guards the Neck. Well, there, Rickard occupies the Drunkard's Tower. So there's 3 towers of Mount Catelyn. And one of them is the Drunkard Towers. It is so named, or Drunkard's Tower. It is so named because of its lean. It looks like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It stands in the bog to the south, and the west walls once met. The tower is covered in green moss. Yeah, it's a pretty cool looking tower. When the northern house splits at the Twins, Rickard stays with Robb, and Robb Stark's army rides hard to the Twins to catch Jaime by surprise. It's what's going to happen. See? Whispering Wood. Robb sends Brynden with a few hundred men carrying Tully banners to raid and draw, right? He's like trying to draw Jaime Lannister away from the camp. So if you guys don't know, Jaime Lannister is besieging Riverrun for the first time in the books out of the 37,000 times the Riverrun is freaking sieged in the books. This is the first one. Oh, there we go. So they go up, they poke Jaime Lannister, and they're like, "Hey, Jaime, you're ugly." And then it's like, "Run!" And he's like, "Hey, I'm not ugly," and then chases them, right? So he unexpectedly, to crush the small force, Jaime and most of his cavalry are lured in a forested valley where the rest of Robb's men are hidden. Lady Mage Mormont and Lord Jason Mallister wait to the east of the valley, while Lord Rickard Karstark is to the north, and west is Sir Stephen Frey, and across the far ridge is Lord Great John Umber. Robb's lady mother, Lady Catelyn, I don't know why I said lady there, Catelyn Stark, waits on the high ridge under the protection of 30 guards led by Hollis Mullen. Once all of Jaime's unsuspected men have entered the valley, Catelyn hears the sound of a show streaks, possibly alerting the waiting Northmen, right? I don't know if those birds are actually working for them or if somebody was just like making the sound of birds. I don't know. But the Mormonts then sound horns to signal the moonlit trap has been sprung, and followed by Umber's, Mallister's, Frey's, and Karstark's. Jaime's horsemen are attacked by bowmen under the trees by Robb, the young wolf, and a northern bannermen lead their cavalry against the ambushed western. Whatever, they ambush them. Why did I make it so complicated? Robb is joined in the fighting by his direwolf Grey Wind. When Jaime sees the battle is lost, he rallies his retainers and attempts to cut his way through the host to slay Robb in single combat. He is halted, but not before slaying members of Robb's personal guard. Darwin Hornwood and Rickard's sons, Eddard Karstark and Torrhen Karstark. Grey Wind's howls are as dawn breaks and the fighting winds down. Yeah, so that was the whole. All right, so why did I read all that? Well, because it's awesome. I really like Battle in Whispering Wood. But also to show you that Jaime is trying to cut his way to Robb, and then he cuts down Torrhen Karstark and Eddard Karstark. I guess I didn't know how long this video was going to be, and I thought it would be worth it covering the entire Battle of the Whispering Wood. It's a good battle, but yeah, maybe that was a little much. The aftermath: when Robb returns with his men to Jaime and Jaime to Catelyn after the battle, she sees the blood, and Robb says that it might be Torrhen's. Right? She's like, "Are you cut?" And he's like, "I think it's Torrhen's blood." So that's Torrhen Karstark's. Theon Greyjoy calls for Jaime's head, but Robb considers the Kingslayer more valuable alive and refuses to condone murder of the prisoners. He's like, dude, he's going to be point of view character in like 2 books. Calm down. Robb orders Jaime taken with a strong guard and put to protect him from Lord Rickard Karstark. They already know, because he cut down 2 of Karstark's sons, that Rickard's going to be a little little peeved, right? He's going to be a little nettled, if you will. I'm super nettled. Catelyn asks why, and Robb looks away into the woods and informs her that Jaime killed both of his sons. Jaime left his sword in Eddard Karstark's neck after taking Torrhen's hand off. Yeah, so that's where Jaime, quote, misplaced his sword, was in the neck of Eddard Karstark. That's vicious. Robb states that he would be dead if it were not for Lord Karstark's sons and the others. Following the Battle of the Camps, so that's a whole other battle, they returned to Riverrun by boat over the river with Robb and Graywyn and Theon in one boat, and in the boat that's following them are Brendan Tully, the Great John, and Rickard Karstark. Rickard prays to the old gods in the Godswood of Riverrun, along with the Great John, Mage Mormont, Gilbert Glover, and Tytos Blackwood. Robb's war council is held in the Great Hall at 4 long tables. Rickard is gaunt and hollow-eyed in his grief, and he takes a seat like a man in a nightmare. I don't know what that means, but he sits the way a man living in a nightmare might sit. His long beard uncombed and unwashed. 2 of his sons were dead, and a third is missing after the battle, after fighting Tywin's men at the Green Fork. So Harrion Karstark, his other son, so he had 3 sons, right? The other one went missing at the Battle of the Green Fork. Over there, right? Tyrion and Tywin and Mountain Clansmen, that fight against Roos's men. So yeah, that's where Harrion Karstark went missing. The War Council. The lords argue late into the night, and every lord is taking full advantage of his right to speak. Sir Steven Frey suggests that they make peace to allow Renly and Joffrey to fight on and oppose, or to submit to the winner of their choosing. So Steven Frey, in the middle of all this, is like, why don't we just wait? That's what my father would do. He literally says that. And then he's like, why don't we just let the Renly and Joffrey just fucking fight it out? And then whoever's there, we could either fight that guy or join that guy. And everyone doesn't like it. What else does he say? He goes on to say that Lord Tywin would welcome a truce in return for his son. So this is met with shouts and outrage. No! Everyone's freaking out. The Great John just calls him a craven, and then Rickard shouts, ransoms be damned, we must not give up the Kingslayer. Yeah. So Catelyn suggests a peace. Like she wasn't listening to Steven. Robb reminds her that the Lannisters murdered her husband and that they will have no peace with them, laying his sword on the table to emphasize the point. She tells him that Ned is gone, and it lists the other fallen, including Rickard's sons, and says that nothing will bring them back. The Great John says that she is a woman and she can't understand. That's literally what it is. He's like, well, you're like a woman and you don't really get it. Rickard adds, you are of the gentler sex. A man has a need for vengeance. And Catelyn says, give me Cersei Lannister, Lord Karstark, and you would see what a gentle woman I can be. Or how gentle a woman I can be. Yeah, I like that. Because he's like, you're a chick. You don't get vengeance. And she's like, yeah. Give me Cersei Lannister and, like, you know, alone in a room. And we'll see how gentle it's going to be. I thought that was pretty awesome. But yeah, where was I at? Catelyn points out that the war was started to free Eddard and to protect the Riverlands. The Riverlands are now safe, and no amount of vengeance will bring her husband back. She wants her daughters safe, and for Robb to be safe ruling Winterfell, and to go home. Rickard asks, what did Torrhen and my Eddard die for, if I am to return to Karhold with nothing but their bones? The other lords reject her peace as well. Rickard is the second to swear fealty to Robb when Great John declares him king of the North. Yeah, everyone's like arguing about a bunch of stuff, and it's getting really intense. And then Great John goes, King of the North! And then everyone kind of forgets what they were arguing about. And they're like, yeah, King of the North! And Rickard's like the second guy to do that. So, yeah. There's that. All right, the campaign in the West. Catelyn Stark watches as her son, Robb Stark, presents his peace terms to the envoy, Sir Cleos Frey. Robb's sword glimmers faintly as he bids Cleos to rise. But it is Greywind who frightens the knight who was captured at the Whispering Wood. Robb wishes Cleos to be his envoy to Queen Cersei in King's Landing. Robb offers to make peace if his terms can be met. And at the back of the hall, Lord Rickard Karstark shoves through a rank of guards and out the door. Yeah, he's like, screw this, I'm not listening to this. But Robb pays no attention. Exchanging his sword for a parchment, he reads his terms. So yeah, I'm skipping past the rest of that scene, but yeah, it's when Robb's gonna send Cleos down to Cleos Frey down to King's Landing, and Rickard's like, no, I'm unhappy about this, and then he leaves. Rickard accompanies Robb when the king campaigns in the Westerlands. During the Battle of Oxcross, the Lord of Karstark rides down Sir Steven Lannister, killing him, the commander of the Lannister host. He kills him with a lance. Ooh, lance to the heart. That's a quick one. Rickard and Galbert Glover then lead the raiding along the western coast. After learning of the capture of Winterfell, Catelyn Stark releases Jaime Lannister from his captivity at Riverrun. When Robb's host returns to Riverrun from the Westerlands, Rickard is along with the rest of the forces. When she asks Robb if she knows that she released if he knows that she released Jaime, she asks if Robb knows why, and Robb says for the girls. And she confirms by saying, I've had 5 children, now I have 3. Well, guess what Rickard has to say about that? Vengeance. So Rickard says to that, aye, my lady. And he pushes his way past the Great John like a grim specter with his black mail and his long, ragged gray beard and his narrow face pinched and cold. And he says, I have one son who once had 3. You have robbed me of my vengeance. She tells him, Lord Rickard, the Kingslayer's dying would not have brought life to your children. He is his leaving may buy life for mine. To that, Rickard says that Jaime Lannister played you for a fool. I don't know why I'm not doing a voice. Jaime Lannister paid you for a fool. You've brought a bag of empty words, no more. My Torrhen and my Eddard deserved better of you. The Great John tells him just back off. He's like, dude, give her some space. And calls it a mother's folly. He's like, dude, it was a woman doing woman stuff. Great John. To that, Rickard shouts, a mother's folly? I name it treason. Robb finally stops him, saying that no man calls Lady of Winterfell a traitor in his hearing. Yeah, don't call my mom that. She says that she would gladly make amends to Rickard and to him, but Rickard says, will your amends warm Torrhen and Eddard's cold graves where the Kingslayer laid them? Just one topic, this guy. Holy crap. Just move on. Oh, man. I was with the scenarios. He shoulders between the Great John and Mage Mormont and leaves the hall. Robb asks her to forgive Rickard and to go on to speak about his marriage. Yeah, they go on to... She doesn't know anything about the marriage yet. So this is right when they come back from the Westerlands. So she's like, who are the guys who look like they're from the Westerlands who are hanging around Robb? Well, I might have married someone. Lord Rickard, overcome with grief and anger, sends his Karstark horse from Riverrun, promising a hand to his daughter Alys to anyone who recovers Jaime for him. Yeah, he's onto something. He's sending his guys away. What's he up to? Afterwards, treason? Afterwards, Rickard leads a small group of Karstark men to murder Willem Lannister in Tyon Frey, two of Robb's captives from the Whispering Wood. in their cells at Riverrun. So 2 guards, Delp and Elwood, are slain by the Karstark. So yeah, he goes and ices these one Frey and one Lannister, right? Robb stands with all his bannermen attending to the bodies of Willem and Tyon Frey, who are laid before him. The Great John brings in Lord Rickard Karstark and 4 of his men to Robb as prisoners. Robb asks if that Robb asks if that was all of them, but the Great John says no. That they already killed 2, taking them, and the 3rd is dying now. How is the 3rd dying? Like, you just walked away after you sliced him and he's just bleeding out? Jeez. Robb states that it required 8 of them to kill 2 unarmed squires. Yeah. So this scene's very similar to the one in the show, except now there's Great John. He's not doesn't make it out of season 1 for some reason. But yeah, so I just wanted to like kind of build the scene, right? So you got Karstark is like kneeling, and then there's a bunch of the lords around, and then he's starting to do the good old scolding. He's starting to scold them. The Great John. Wait, where was I? Does it take 8? Where was I at? States that, yeah, all right. Edmure adds, yeah, so to kill 2 unarmed squires, and Eddard adds that 2 of his men were murdered too. Yeah, Delp and Elwood. Jeez. Rickard says, "It was no murder, sir. Any man who steps between a father and his vengeance asks for death." His words were harsh and cruel, and Robb calls this folly and says that his sons died in battle. Rickard doesn't yield any ground and says, "They died. The Kingslayer cut them down. These 2 were his ilk. Only blood can pay for blood." Yeah, I even like, dude, I'm a dad, and I get it. I get like a dad's anger. Like, I'm sure I've never had 2 sons, die in battle or anything, and I'm sure it's not fun. I'm sure it completely messes with your head. But it's really hard to defend him at this point. like even as somebody who's like, I would probably do something horrible if I lost my kids. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand that. But like, these are his ilk. It's like, one's a Frey. like, sure, they're related. They're like cousins, I guess. But what? Your sons died in battle. They wanted to be part of the battle. They wanted to be right. They wanted to be part of the honor guard in front of Robb, where people are probably going to try to ice Robb to end the war quickly. They're in the heart of it. Like, dude, of course one of them is going to die, or both of them. But anyways, I'm not trying to be cold or anything. I'm just saying it gets a little old at this point where it's like, yeah, but they died and only blood can pay for blood. I'm just shaking my head at Rickard, like, dude, shut up. Robb says that they were children. They were boys and just squires. And he says, squires die every day in battle. Oh, it wasn't battle. What are you talking about? Robb says that there wasn't a battle. Thank you, Robb. That's what I was saying. And that there were captives in a cell. He tells Rickard to look at them. And he looked at Catelyn and says, "Tell your mother to look at them." He said, "She slew them as much as I." I don't think so. Robb calls it treason, and Rickard spits, "How can it be treason to kill Lannisters? What do you think I'm here for? When it is not treason to free them. Has your grace forgotten we're at war with Casterly Rock?" This keeps going. He goes on, "In war you kill your enemies. Did your father teach you that, boy?" And the Great John yells, "Boy!" And then he punches Rickard with a mailed fist. I freaking love Book Great John. Like, he is the biggest fanboy for Robb, and he's just a giant, huge. Is like, "Did your father teach you that, boy?" And Rickard's like, "You know what? Oh, shut up." Ooh, I would not say anything like that in front of Great John. I don't know. I like not dying. I like living. All right, so he punches Rickard with a mailed fist, and that sends the Lord to his knees. Robb says to leave. So Lord Karstark's, Robb says to leave him. Oh yeah, leave him. Lord Karstark spit out a broken tooth, and he goes, Yes, Lord Umber, leave me to the king. He means to give me a scolding before he forgets me. That's how he deals with Treason, our king of the north. He smiled through a wet smile, or should I call you the king who lost the north, your grace? He pretty much does this exact scene in the show. That's why I wanted to leave it out when I was talking about the show, because the dialogue's actually super close. So I'm just keeping that in mind, right? This scene's a little different. We'll get to it, but most of that dialogue's pretty well intact. So Great John grabs a spear to ask for permission to kill him. Now the Blackfish enters, and Robb leaves them to go speak to the Blackfish. And he tells Great John to keep Rickard there and hang the others. Great John asks if they even hang the dead ones, and Robb says yes, because he will not foul his uncle Edmure's rivers, which is a heck of a line. One of them asks for mercy because he was only the watcher. Robb tells Great John to hang him last so he can watch. Alone, the Blackfish tells Robb that all the Karstark men are gone. So Edmure Tully advises them to keep this a secret, but Robb knows this isn't possible. There's no way we're going to keep this a secret. They speak of Harrion Karstark at Karhold and that he will be Robb's enemy. Edmure says that they should pardon him or keep him as a hostage. Robb feels that he has been betrayed by this murder, right? However, he has no choice but to kill the man whose two sons died defending his life. Robb says that Rickard killed him more than afraid. In a Lannister, he killed his honor. So, yeah. Does Robb make the right move? I don't know. That's up to you. Not much of a king guy. I'm not a king, so I don't know how kings make decisions. All right. Robb carries out sentence Kinslayer. There you go. Robb carries out the sentence in the rainy Godswood of the Riverrun the next morning. In the rain and watched by a crowd, Rickard is dressed for death in the black wool surcoat emblazoned with the Karstark sunburst. That's the one I talked about earlier. So I left it in the description, but it's the only time we ever see him wear it is when he's dressed to be executed. So, but at least he dressed good for the occasion. Hey, I dressed up. This is my work. He dies by my word. This is Robb talking, and he must die by my hand. So Richard says, for that much I thank you, but for naught else. The blood of the first men flows in my veins as much as yours, boy. And then Great John punches him again. No, I'm kidding. You would do well to remember that. I was named for your grandfather. I raised my banners against King Aerys for your father and against King Joffrey for you. At Oxcross and the Whispering Wood and in the Battle of the Camps, I rode beside you. I stood with Lord Eddard on the Trident. We are kin, Stark and Karstark. And Robb says that kinship didn't prevent the betrayal. And to kneel, he's like, whatever, kneel. Rickard says, old gods are new, it makes no matter. No man is more accursed than a kinslayer. So, there you go. Robb tells him to kneel again. He's like, dude, shut up, man. Rickard does so, but he keeps talking and says, the gods shall judge you as you have judged me. So laying his head on the block, Robb speaks his name in his crime, and he raises his axe, not sword, axe, that's a little difference, asking for his final words, but he only says, kill me and be cursed, you are no king of mine. The axe kills in one blow, but it takes 3 blows to remove the head. And then, yeah, Robb's like just covered in blood. It's brutal. The brave companions later capture... I get to play a thing. And I'm going to play it for this one because I'm not a big fan of Rickard.
Poochie's dead!
Yeah, that's right. Take that. The brave companions later capture Jaime near Maidenpool. Unaware of Rickard's death, Varga Hoat plans to return Jaime to the Karstarks and thereby marry Alys. Oh, man, imagine if that happened. And claim Karhold. Wow. Lord Roose Bolton instead gives Harrenhal to Vargo when he departs with Karhold men. when Roose arrives at the Twins, most of the remaining Northmen in command are Boltons and Karstarks, and then Roose then red weddings Robb at the red wedding. So there you go. We got one more slide just to talk about the differences because that's what we're doing here. Woo, yeah, 40 minutes already. Let's end this before 50. Holy crap. All right, differences. For the most part, they're pretty close. There's a lot of differences here, but I think that they kind of get the gist of this character, right? Only one of Show Rickard's sons is killed by Jaime, and it happens during the escaped attempt, not during the Battle of the Whispering Woods. Although, I don't know, did they say... I'm not sure. I tried to watch a lot of the show to try to find it, but I couldn't find where they state Harrion died at. We just know that Harrion, the son who only dies on the show, died in battle, but I wasn't sure which one. Yeah, it is later stated. Yeah, I don't know why I said that because it's right here. Later stated that Harrion died well in battle, but I'm not sure which battle. Also, Rickard and Robb never go to Harrenhal at all, right? Therefore, Book them he never has that talk with Roose. I butchered that sentence, but that scene when they all go to Harrenhal, right, and then all these people are dead and they find Qyburn there. It's a scene, and Roose and Rickard Karstark talk. Not in the books because Roose kind of comes and goes from Harrenhal, but Robb never goes there, and Rickard Karstark's part of Robb's host. And he never goes to Harrenhal. So he never gets that scene with the Boltons. So where was I? Yeah. The show Rickard kills brothers Martin and Willem Lannister, who in the show are sons of Kevin Lannister and were captured by Edmure at the Battle of the Fords. Not Willem Lannister, who is the son of Kevin Lannister, and Tion Frey, who is the third son of Willem Frey and Jenna Lannister, who were captured at the Whispering Woods. So in the books, like I said earlier, it's a Lannister and a Frey who were captured at Whispering Wood, and this is just two sons of Kevin who were captured at the Battle of the Ford. So there's another difference. Since Robb never marries Talisa, Rickard never voices all that disdain he has for the queen. And since the great John never made it out of season 1, he has no part in any of Rickard's plots. When he's just constantly telling him to back off or shut up or punching him in the face. None of that's a thing in the show, right? That means that it's the Blackfish who punches him during that scene that he is brought in front of Robb after he kills the squires. They do keep the dialogue very close in the show, besides the lack of Great John. But he does only have 5 men who are dead and not 8, right? That's another change. So these are all small changes, but I do think they handle him pretty good. Definitely not as fumbled as other characters. Sure, it's not the closest, but compared to some characters I've covered, it's pretty close. There you guys go. 45 minutes probably. It's 43 now. Holy shamola. That was Rickard Karstark. I hope you guys enjoyed that. My name is Taco. And what do you think? Do you think I'm a little unfair? I could just keep telling him to shut up. But like I do not want to undercut his grief. But is he the only person who lost sons in that war? No. Who were in that war? No. And do all of them have the right to be angry? Absolutely. I think war is a horrible thing. I do. I think anyone who has to fight in a war, I have absolute freaking respect and pity for, because I don't like the idea of small folk killing themselves or killing each other for kings, right? It's never something that I'm a big fan of. Anyways, I don't want to get in a soapbox here. But yeah, so I do think that he kind of was a broken record and maybe he could have got over it. And I think his actions of killing the 2 squires was a little goofy. But at that point, maybe he just went nuts or he was always crazy. I did find just like a couple comments on Reddit posts that were like, I don't understand why he did it. It's like, I don't know either. He was going nuts. He was a little nuts. But yeah. Do you understand? Do you think that he didn't go too far? Were you actually on Rickard Karstark's side? Do you have a t-shirt that says Rickard Karstark did nothing wrong? Maybe. Does that exist? All right, we'll find out. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to get out of here. And enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. This is a long one. Peace.